If you like the idea of obliterating your enemies from a mile away before they ever touch your troops, this is the guide for you, because today we are taking a good look into the faction that will teach you to master firepower, mobility, and the fight for the greater good. It is, of course, the Tau Empire. But before we explore what they do, let's talk about who they are. The Tau are one of the youngest races in the Warhammer 40k galaxy. Just a few thousand years ago, they were basically tribal, living in huts and throwing spears. The Imperium actually spotted them back then, but decided they weren't worth the attention. Then, a weird twist of fate happened. Warp storms cut off their world for centuries. By the time the storms cleared, whilst not without their own trials and tribulations, the Tau had skyrocketed into a hyper-advanced civilization with plasma weapons, starships, and battlesuits. What makes them unique isn't just their technology though, it's their philosophy. They fight for the greater good, a belief that all species can contribute to the Empire. Because of this philosophy, you can see them being able to field auxiliaries like Kroot and Vespids as their allies. Of course, this idealism doesn't mean everyone likes them. To the Imperium, the Tau are dangerous Xenos. In other words, an alien species that refuses to bow to the Emperor. The Orcs mostly see them as a fun fight, though they respect Tau guns about as much as Orcs respect anything. The Eldar often view the Tau as naive children playing at empire building, though some grudgingly admire their speed and ambition. And the Necrons? Well, they just don't care. To them, the Tau are just another young race to be exterminated. Now, despite how the other factions see the Tau, they are the ambitious newcomers, young, idealistic, and rapidly expanding. And in Dawn of War, that shows up in how they play. Fragile, but insanely advanced. Which now brings us to a point to discuss their unique mechanics. So, what really makes Tau different from everyone else? Well, the Tau are built around a core identity, one which is of ridiculously ranged firepower, but paired with fragile defenses. Their fire warriors and Tau commander can tear through enemies before they even get close. But if anything does reach melee range, the Tau get into big trouble. And this is where their auxiliaries come in. Kroot Carnivores give you melee cover, while Vespids gives you mobility and harassment options. The allies plug the holes in the Tau's main military capabilities. Now that we've covered who they are, let's talk about what they can do. From the Kadra HQ, the Earth Caste Builder is the Tau's standard worker unit. They construct buildings and can repair vehicles, but as most worker units are, they are fragile and so should be protected as far as possible. The XV8 stealth teams are your starting scouts. They begin cloaked, making them ideal for early harassment, decapping enemy points, and scouting for your fire warriors. Their stealth field means opponents must invest in detection to counter them, which really should not be underestimated. As with most infantry, they can have more members added to the squad, and once the path to Enlightenment building has been constructed, more on that later, the stealth teams can have a leader added to the squad called the Shasva, who increases the health of all squad members. Not only that, but the stealth teams can also be equipped with fusion blasters, which are short-ranged weapons, but effective against vehicles. After constructing your barracks, this will unlock a new unit that you can make from your headquarters. The Vespid Stingwing strains act as your early game fast attack, close combat harassment squad, and are classified as heavy infantry, giving them greater resilience than basic infantry squads. They are reinforceable, meaning that you can add more squad members, as well as add a leader to the squad to improve the overall health. The Vespids possess detection, allowing them to reveal infiltrated enemy units. However, they do come with an important limitation. They cannot capture or decapture strategic points. What they do have, however, are two abilities, one of which is the Sonic Pulse. It is a concentrated burst of sonic energy fired from the Vespid neutron blasters, and the ability can disrupt and disorient nearby enemy infantry as well as temporarily stun the crew of a vehicle. Its other ability is Destabilization, which enables the Vespid neutron blasters to temporarily resonate an asynchronous frequency, which has a devastating effect on building armor and weakens it considerably. The effect causes the targeted building to take double damage for a short period of time. With these features in mind, Vespid Stingwings are best employed as a raiding and disruption force. Now, with these two units made in the Tau HQ, there are also two important upgrades that can be researched. The first of these is the Jetpack Enhancements. This equips XV8 stealth teams and the Vespid Stingwing strain units with the Jetpack ability. This dramatically increases their survivability and flexibility, allowing them to reposition quickly, escape melee threats, or chase down priority targets. For a faction so reliant on keeping distance, this mobility upgrade is a game changer. This upgrade also gives the jetpack ability to the Tau Commander, who we will talk about more of course, but later in the video. The other upgrade is the Stealth Burst Cannon Enhancement. With this upgrade, the stealth teams can contribute more than simply capping strategic points and scouting. The Cadre HQ alone sets the tone for Tau military. Stealth, mobility, and harassment tools balanced against their fragile durability. Next, we'll take a look at the units from the Tau barracks, and we'll start off with the Fire Warrior team. In many ways, the backbone of the Tau Empire's army, the Fire Warriors are a dedicated ranged infantry squad with some of the longest range in Dawn of War. Against enemy infantry, particularly heavy infantry, they can deal devastating volleys, often eliminating squads before they can close the distance. They can be reinforced, and once the path to Enlightenment building has been built, the Fire Warriors can have the Fire Warrior Chassui leader added, an infantry commander that joins the squad of Fire Warriors that can throw photon grenades at its enemies. It's effective against infantry, but it has no effect on vehicles or buildings. Another leader that can be added to the Fire Warrior team is the Shield Drone. It's a drone unit that supports the Fire Warrior teams and can activate an energy shield which protects the squad members from enemy ranged fire. Now, Fire Warriors can be extremely fragile. Their armor is light, and if they are forced into melee, they can break quickly. For this reason, Fire Warriors should always be screened by melee auxiliaries, such as Kroot Carnivores, in order to avoid being overrun. When positioned correctly, the Fire Warrior team defines the Tau playstyle. Overwhelming firepower, delivered safely from behind a protective screen. Speaking of Kroot Carnivores, they are the Tau's basic auxiliary infantry, serving as their primary melee combat unit. Their primary purpose is not necessarily raw damage, but rather to shield Fire Warriors by preventing enemy units from closing into melee range. Their value lies in their role as a frontline buffer, ensuring that the Tau gun line remains intact. After a battle, Kroot Carnivores can feed on the corpses of fallen enemies, regenerating health and even increasing the maximum health of all your Kroot Carnivores. This makes them surprisingly durable in prolonged fights and helps them offset their weaker armor. With this cannibalize ability, Kroot Carnivores don't just buy time for your Fire Warriors, they can grow stronger the longer that they fight, turning them into an even more effective frontline buffer as the battles wear on. And then we have the Tau Commander, the Tau Empire's primary hero unit and a highly adaptable leader with several powerful active abilities that give him strong utility on the battlefield. One of such abilities is the Snare Trap, one of the Commander's signature tools. It deploys a device that severely slows enemy units caught in its effect, making it far easier for the Fire Warriors or Battlesuits to eliminate them at range. Used correctly, they can completely shut down an enemy charge. Another little trick with the Snare Trap ability is that you can deploy it within the range of your enemy's turrets so as to get their firepower focused on the Snare Trap rather than your units. Target Acquired is an ability that allows the commander to focus fire on a single enemy squad or unit, dramatically increasing his damage against that target. And lastly, Jump. Once you research jump jets at the cadre headquarters, the Tau Commander gains mobility with a jump ability, just as the XV8 stealth suits and the Vespids do. This gives him the ability to quickly reposition, escape melee, or leap into the backline to disrupt support units. Equipped with a battlesuit, and can be customized with a range of weapons, including flamers for anti-infantry damage, effective at breaking enemy morale and enemy melee combat units. To progress any further with upgrading the Tau Commander, however, you will need to have constructed the Path to Enlightenment research building. Doing so unlocks the ability to give the Tau Commander a missile launcher for tackling vehicles and buildings, and a fusion blaster mostly for countering vehicles. In addition to his ranged combat role, the Tau Commander serves as an anchor for early engagements. Now at this point, it's important to really focus on the Path to Enlightenment building, which for the Tau can be seen as the gatekeeping building for Tier 2 units and technologies. Not only does it, as discussed earlier, unlock potential weaponry upgrades for the XV8 stealth suits, Fire Warrior teams, and the Tau Commander, it also enables the Tau to train more advanced infantry units from the barracks and research various technologies. Beyond this, it also unlocks the vehicle beacon, the Kroot Shaping Center, the Thermoplasma Generator, and then also a choice between Tau's two final command structures. As we start our dissection of this critical building, and all that it uncovers for the Tau, let's start taking a look at the various technologies that it offers. These are very important to know, and will often be a feature of most battles involving the Tau, considering how useful they are, especially for the Tau's basic opening infantry units. First is Target Lock. This upgrade makes Tau stealth suits better at focusing down enemies, even when on the move. Most units in Dawn of War reduce in their attack accuracy when attacking whilst on the move, and so this upgrade improves the stealth suits in this situation. Then there's the Advanced Pulse Rifles, which is useful for your stealth suits and a must-have for your Fire Warriors. It boosts both their range and their damage, keeping them lethal well into the mid-game. With this research, Fire Warriors stay relevant instead of falling off as other factions bring out tougher infantry. Missile Barrage is an upgrade for your Skyray missile carriers, giving them the ability to unleash powerful volleys of missiles. With this, the Skyray can fire its entire payload at a concentrated target, making them a much bigger threat to vehicles and clumped up infantry, turning them from a flexible support unit into a real mid-game powerhouse. For the Kroot auxiliaries, there's Feral Leap. This gives the Kroot Carnivores and Kroot Hounds the ability to leap into battles, instantly closing the gaps and knocking enemy squads off balance. It's an excellent way to stop melee or ranged units from reaching your Fire Warriors. Now with the last two potential upgrades, in order to unlock them, you will have needed to have chosen to have built the Kauyon command post and not the Mont'ka command post. We'll certainly be taking a closer look at these two buildings later on in the video. Improved Metallurgy, it equips the Tau with advanced armor and dramatically increases the maximum health of the Tau Commander, Fire Warrior, Drone Harbinger, Skyray Missile Carrier, Barracuda, and the Krootox. This upgrade really helps to shore up one of the Tau's biggest weaknesses, fragility. And finally, Targeting Optics. This upgrade dramatically increases the range and line of sight of Fire Warriors and your stealth suits. Combined with Advanced Pulse Rifles, it turns Fire Warriors and battlesuits into absolute laser-focused killing machines. Now, whilst these technologies are very important to consider as the Tau, the Path to Enlightenment building allows further progression of the Tau army with more advanced infantry that can be drafted in to fight for the greater good. First, we have the Pathfinder, which serves as a light reconnaissance and support unit within the Tau army. They are fragile and lack direct combat effectiveness, but their value lies in their stealth unit detection and Marker Light's ability. Each Marker Light hit increases the damage that tower range units inflict on that target by a whopping 75% for 20 seconds, and its suppression fire slows down enemy advancements. When combined with Fire Warriors or Battlesuits, this effect significantly amplifies the Tau's ranged supremacy. The XV8 Broadside is a heavy infantry battlesuit and one of the Tau Empire's most fearsome later game options. Fitted with dual missile launchers by default, it excels at knocking out vehicles and even aircraft before they can threaten your gun line. Where it really shines, however, is when you entrench it. Once deployed, the Broadside brings its railguns online and becomes a devastating fixed weapon platform. In this mode, it's effective against all targets, infantry, armor, and fortifications alike. The drawback is that entrenched broadsides have a minimum range, meaning that they can't fire on enemies that get too close, and they lose all mobility until undeployed. Together, Pathfinders and Broadsides exemplify the Tau's combined arms doctrine. One enhances the effectiveness of the entire army through support, while the other provides decisive, long-range anti-armor capability. As with most factions, the Tau have access to the Thermo plasma generator, which can be placed upon slag deposits to really ramp up energy production. And just as well, as we are approaching the stages of the Tau technology tree, where units and structures start to cost a lot more energy. Now, beyond the advanced infantry and thermoplasma generators that the Path to Enlightenment building unlocks, the building also allows the Tau Empire to construct the Vehicle Beacon, which is the structure responsible for the requisition of vehicles and increasing the vehicle population capacity. With that being said, the Tau vehicle roster offers mobility and powerful late-game firepower. Each vehicle fulfills a specialized role, and together they provide the mechanized backbone of the Tau army. The Devilfish troop carrier is one of such units and is your dedicated transport that operates in stealth. It allows Fire Warriors, Pathfinders, and other infantry to redeploy quickly across the battlefield, escape melee threats, and even reinforce on the move. Just remember, the Devilfish is lightly armored. Do not throw it into the front line. Its strength is stealth and mobility, not firepower. And you'll need to be super careful if you have units garrisoned inside it, because lose the transport and you'll lose the units inside it also. Next, we have the Drone Squad that can act as an ambush unit. They have the ability to burrow into the ground, lying in wait until an enemy squad passes by. When they surface, they can surprise and disrupt infantry with a short-ranged attack. And when a drone squad gets low on health, they don't just die quietly, they explode violently, dealing damage to any nearby enemies. This makes them dangerous to ignore, even when they are on the verge of destruction. The downside is that drone squads don't scale well into the late game, and they are fragile if focused. But used correctly, they can be excellent for harassment, delaying enemy advances, and softening infantry before your main force engages. For artillery support, you've got the Skyray Missile Gunship. This is your long-range gunship that fires missiles that can tear through infantry blobs and heavily damaged structures. The Skyray is excellent at supporting your army from the back line, but it's vulnerable if it gets caught, so you'll always want to keep it screened by infantry or positioned behind cover. You mustn't forget also that the missile barrage upgrade from the Path to Enlightenment building gives the Skyray Missile Gunship a powerful ability, which is of course barraging missiles in an area and fully deploying the gunship's payload. Then there's the Drone Harbinger, which is a very Tau-style unit. It doesn't do much damage on its own, but it can be set to continuously deploy combat drones. These drones are at a cost of 35 energy, but they provide extra firepower, act as expendable screens, and can overwhelm enemy positions with numbers. The Harbinger itself is fragile though, so it needs protection, but if you keep it alive, the constant stream of drones can be a real headache for your opponent. Next up is the Barracuda, the Tau's assault fighter. This is a high mobility strike unit that's strong against both aircraft and vehicles. The Barracuda excels at flanking and picking off vulnerable targets, but it has a low durability and can be shot down quickly by anti-air or heavy weapons. Together, these vehicles give the Tau a flexible and powerful mechanized force. From transports and drone carriers to artillery, aircraft, and heavy tanks, Tau vehicles complement the ranged supremacy of their infantry and battlesuits with mobility and overwhelming fire support. Now, we've had some references to them already in this video, but there are two late-game command posts that one can choose between when playing as the Tau Empire, and you cannot make them both: the Mont'ka command post and the Kauyon command post, each of them unlocking different units and research for the Tau Empire. Let's start by taking a look at the Mont'ka command post that represents the Mont'ka or Killing Blow Doctrine. Building this structure unlocks some of the Tau's most powerful elite units. Choosing the Mont'ka focuses your army on battlesuits and heavy firepower. From building this command post, you gain access to the advanced XV8 Crisis Battlesuit variants from the barracks. It is a heavy infantry unit that embodies the Mont'ka philosophy of precision and overwhelming firepower. Crisis suits are incredibly mobile thanks to their jetpacks, allowing them to quickly leap around or even over the battlefield. This mobility makes them excellent for repositioning, dodging threats, or striking deep into vulnerable enemy lines. What makes the XV8 truly dangerous, however, is its customizable weapon loadout. For example, the missile pods upgrade the crisis suits with heavy ordnance launchers that fire armor-piercing and high-impact missiles. These are perfect for destroying vehicles and pounding enemy buildings from range. And then there are flamers. Whilst they are short-ranged attacks, they are brutally effective at breaking enemy morale and clearing out infantry, especially melee units that try to close on in. With their speed, flexibility, and sheer firepower, the XV8 Crisis Battlesuits are the backbone of a Mont'ka late-game army. They can adapt to almost any situation, making them one of the Tau's most versatile and feared units on the battlefield. Now, once you have researched the teachings of Mont'ka from the Mont'ka command post, you'll have access to the mighty Hammerhead Gunship from the vehicle beacon. This is the Tau's main battle gunship, and it's one of the strongest vehicles in Dawn of War. Although their railgun is largely specialized for anti-vehicular duty, the burst cannons are vicious against infantry. The only area that the Hammerhead gunships are lacking in is health, relegating it into more of a fire support role as opposed to a damage soaker. The Hammerhead combines range, mobility, and raw firepower, making it a centerpiece of any late-game Tau army. The only catch is cost and vulnerability. You can't afford to lose one carelessly, so always protect it with screens and support. Strategically, Mont'ka fits the Tau's natural strengths: superior ranged combat, combined arms firepower, and flexible mobility. Now, the Kauyon command post is the Tau's alternative late-game tech choice, and represents the Kauyon or the Patient Hunter doctrine. It leans into auxiliaries, attrition, and overwhelming melee support. The Kauyon also unlocks key research upgrades from the Path of Enlightenment building, which are the improved metallurgy and targeting optics as mentioned earlier in the video. Strategically, the Kauyon complements the Tau's fragile fire warriors by giving you a much tougher frontline produced from the Kroot Shaping Center. It's the building where you can train several of the Tau's Kroot auxiliaries, which are unlocked by the Kauyon command post. In fact, you need the Kauyon command in order to train all but one of the units that can be made from the Kroot Shaping Center. This one unit happens to be the Kroot Shaper, the leader for your Kroot forces. The Shaper doesn't win fights on his own, but he attaches to squads and boosts the speed and health of nearby Kroot units, making your Carnivores and Hounds much more effective. The rest of the Kroot forces do indeed need the Kauyon command post, and so let's start by taking a look at the Kroot Hound pack. They are your advanced heavy infantry units that are great for close combat, especially against infantry. Krootox are your heavy melee beasts. They are tough, hard-hitting, and great for absorbing damage. The beast itself is effective against all unit types, especially infantry. And then, once the teachings of Kauyon has been researched and have a relic captured, we have access to the ultimate Kroot unit, the Greater Knarloc. This massive war beast is slow, but extremely durable and devastating in melee. Effective against all unit types, the enormous creature can unleash a swathe of destruction wherever it steps. Strategically, the Shaping Center gives the Tau army something it otherwise lacks: a serious melee presence in the late game. Without it, Tau forces are almost entirely ranged and extremely vulnerable to enemy assaults. With it, you gain access to a strong frontline screen, fast attack hounds, and heavy shock units, giving the Tau much needed flexibility in close combat. Now, last but not least, the Ethereal is one of the Tau's most unique commander units. He can be trained from the Coalition Center, which is the final building for the Tau Empire. It's a building which is unlocked once you've either gotten the Mont'ka command post or the Kauyon command post. Unlike the Tau commander, who leads from the front with customizable weapons, the Ethereal plays a supporting role, enhancing the strength of the entire army. When fielded, the Ethereal boosts the morale and combat performance of Tau forces across the map, causing all Tau to also gain health and damage as well. However, there is a catch. If the Ethereal is killed, your entire army suffers a severe morale penalty, albeit temporary. This makes him both a valuable asset and a potential liability, so his positioning is critical. The Ethereal also brings several powerful abilities to the battlefield. He can call in a squad of elite bodyguards to protect him. Now, these bodyguards are strong ranged infantry, tougher than fire warriors, and designed to keep the Ethereal safe from enemy assaults. Then we have the Aircast Strike, an ability that calls in a devastating orbital bombardment from the Tau Aircast. It's highly effective against infantry formations and lightly armored vehicles, making it a strong tool for breaking entrenched positions. And lastly, we have the Holographic Projection. With this ability, the Ethereal clones a selected squad of units that survives for a limited time. It inflicts no damage, but appears real to the enemy. This creates a false image of Tau units, distracting and misleading the enemy. It's excellent for disrupting your enemy's targeting, buying time for your real forces, or baiting enemies into the wrong position. The Ethereal is less about direct combat and more about shaping the battlefield. His presence strengthens your army, his bodyguards provide local protection, and his abilities give you powerful tools for both offense and deception. But because of the penalty tied to his death, the Ethereal must always be used carefully, guarded closely and positioned safely behind the main line. Now, with the mammoth of units, structures and abilities that we have covered for the Tau Empire, it's now time to talk about build orders. I do have a couple of them today for the Tau Empire, and we're going to start off with a relatively standard opening with the Commander and going for some economy. So first things first, we queue up a worker, 2 stealth teams, and also research the Jetpacks Upgrade from our headquarters. The first worker that we spawn with goes to build a barracks, and then we place the foundation for the 2 plasma generators. We're going to be using both workers to build the barracks just so that we can build it as soon as possible and get the Tau commander out quickly. The first stealth warrior is out now, going to get the strategic points, and is going to be followed by the second stealth warrior very soon. Barracks built, Tau commander queued. You'll notice that I am shift clicking a lot to queue up the units to go to the next task. I do that because it gets things prepared nice and early. so that we will be able to build one plasma generator, by the way, with these 2 workers, and then we'll eventually peel one of these workers away to the first strategic point to build the first listening post. Now that we've got the Jetpacks upgrade as well, I will actually be Shift Q commanding the jetpack ability with the stealth teams to get across the map quicker. So here we are, we're going to be building up the listening post, and then the other worker, once he has completed the plasma generator, will also build a listening post at the second strategic point. Now the listening posts cost 100 requisition, so every time you see 100 requisition in your bank, that's when you'll want to move out to build the next listening post. Tau Commander is out. Now we can see some Necron warriors there, we just need to push them away a little bit. We use the jetpack ability as well to get some hits. Necron warriors are relatively slow, so we can dictate the terms of engagement. Now, the worker, once he has built up the first listening post, will go up to the third strategic point, build up that third listening post. So we've got to the stage pretty much where the stealth teams have got 4 of our strategic points. They can group up with the Tau Commander, maybe put some pressure on. So the worker is about to finish the second listening post and can go to the 4th strategic point, there we go, and build the 4th listening posts. Bear in mind, the next 100 requisitions can be used to actually upgrade our listening posts for more economy. We've got some units there as well anyway. If we're really desperately in a pinch, we can actually start to build some fire warriors, but they cost about 200 odd requisition, a little bit more than that, and so it's pretty expensive, whereas you can just upgrade these listening posts and they give you a bit of a turret nice and early. So I prefer to do that, and you've got a couple of units, you've got the Tau Commander anyway, so he should be good enough to hold on. The aim of the game is to try and get all 4 listening posts upgraded, and then if we're not under pressure, even get another plasma generator. That will help us get our way to tier 2, but usually we're under pressure, so we're probably going to need to delay that plasma generator a little bit and get the first fire warrior squad. And in fact, with that Necron Lord, that's pretty much the confirmation that we will need to get that fire warrior squad. I mean, you need to get some units usually anyway. The other option is to get the Kroot Carnivores, but for now, considering we're fighting with the upgraded listening posts, I'm quite content to get the fire warrior squads. The question is, do you want another one as well, so potentially 2, or do we go for a plasma generator after? That's always usually the question at this stage, units or plasma generators, and then once you've got up to about 4 plasma generators, usually at that point, you can think about going for the tier 2, which for the Tau, as you guys know by now, is with a building, the Path to Enlightenment, and this can give you some upgrades, primarily for your infantry, including your fire warriors, and it can also unlock the vehicle beacon to be built by your workers. Not to mention, of course, as well, gives you access to more advanced infantry. Lots of options there for you, of course, but at this stage we're just fighting off these Necron warriors, and we will be getting that second of the fire warrior squads. At this point we're going to be actually placing the 3rd of our plasma generators, and probably the 4th one as well. A bit of a delay here because we're just fighting away a little bit, but I'm just kind of considering our options. But as you can see, we're kind of floating a bit of the requisition, so we might as well place a 4th plasma generator anyway. The Path to Enlightenment there, not really something we can afford with the energy side of things at least. And that's because, we had to delay the 3rd plasma generator. We just needed those troops. So there we go, 4th plasma generator, and we're going to be placing down the foundations for the Path to Enlightenment building. And once it's built, you'll want to consider getting the Advanced Pulse Rifle upgrade for your fire warriors in particular. You'll want to think about upgrading your listening posts even further, adding new leaders for your fire warrior squads, including the Chassui leader, or also even the drone leader. Don't forget as well to, of course, reinforce your army whilst you are building the Path to Enlightenment building, because it can take a while. So it's a good time to start adding on models for your fire warriors. Be aggressive and adapt to your enemy, but this is a very good standard opening for the Tau Empire. But this, of course, is only one of the build orders I had to show you, so now let's take a look at build order number 2. So now this build order is a lot more aggressive than the first, a lot more micro-intensive, and it's going to be the Vespid Rush. Now I will kind of try and demonstrate this as clearly as possible. I won't be jumping around the screen too much, which I normally probably would be doing, but I really just want to showcase the build. So first things first, from the headquarters we queue up a worker, 2 stealth teams, and the Jetpacks ability. So our 2 workers are going to be building the barracks. I said 2 because we start off with 1, we trained 1, and they build the barracks as soon as possible, and then go to build the plasma generator. So the stealth team just about to pop out, and then we're going to waypoint him towards the first strategic point, like so, and then we're going to shift queue him to the second strategic point, or I should say third really, because the next stealth team that pops out from the headquarters will be going to the second strategic point. So once the barracks is built, we queue up the Tau commander. We're going to get him out nice and early so that we can be very aggressive. Now the next step, as soon as that plasma generator has been built, we are going to be queuing up our Vespid Stingwing strain. We just need to wait for that extra bit of energy to come on in once the pulse generator has been built. And there we go, queued on up. The workers will go towards the strategic posts because we will eventually get those listening posts. It's a bit far away because we just spent a lot of requisition, but it is what it is. Essentially from here on in, we're going to be getting 4 listening posts. Every time we get 100 requisition, we get the worker to get those listening posts. Once the 4 listening posts are in, we can then start thinking about getting those plasma generators. As you can see, we're jetpacking our stealth teams out on the map to get there quickly. Commander out, and there we go, 100 requisition. We build the first listening post. Vespids going to be making their way also. Now the idea with this build order, with getting the Vespids, is to be super aggressive. The reason why, they've got an activatable ability that essentially causes buildings to take a lot more damage. Because of that, we can really focus on your enemy's plasma generators, probably the easiest thing to take on out, and it's going to cause all sorts of disruption for them. So there we go, another 100 requisition, another listening post. Now ideally, you want to get through undetected, but it is what it is. We're going to use the Jetpacks ability very soon anyway. So another listening post goes down. Now we want to essentially jetpack to the main base, to where probably you're going to find those plasma generators. There they are. We're going to be going for the melee mode, and then using the X ability, well, X at least on my hotkeys. In any case, it's the destabilization ability, and it just causes a lot more damage. As you can see, we're going to just rip through that plasma generator. So now we're going to build the 4th and final listening post, at least for now. And just bear in mind that the stealth teams have been on the map getting those critical points. It's important because you got the map control, you might as well use it. So now that we've got 4 listening posts, we're going to build a plasma generator. And then ideally, you just want to keep doing more damage. We're getting a lot of damage here, which is absolutely fantastic. And we're just really going to want to take as much advantage as possible. The way we do that is we upgrade our listening posts. In fact, we're going to upgrade 2 of our listening posts before getting the 3rd plasma generator. We keep active on the map, and we've always got the Jetpacks ability to use again if we need to get out there in a tight pinch. Pick off as many workers as you can, and as you can see, this guy is struggling. This Necrons player not doing a good job here at this moment of defending this push. So there we go, the 2nd listening post will be upgraded there, and then we're just going to get ready for the 3rd plasma generator. From here on in, the world's your oyster, depends on how things are going. You can stay in tier 1 if you like, and actually get some of these fire warriors, or potentially look to go for tier 2, which is essentially the path to Enlightenment building, and upgrade your units. I quite like to actually just get these fire warriors just to make sure we're in a good spot and not take any drastic risks, because of course we've done a heck of a lot of damage. Whatever you decide to go on to do, just make sure you upgrade all of your listening posts. So with those 2 build orders done, I hope you guys enjoyed this run through of the Tau Empire. I actually really enjoyed making this video. Lots of really interesting features of this faction, very micro intensive. Let me know what you think of the Tau Empire. I think it's a great faction to play as, for sure. And so if you did enjoy this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up. More importantly, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel and that you hit the notification bell so that you get a bit of a ding dong when I do upload the next video. But if you can't wait for that and you would like to connect with both me and the community that I'm building for Dawn of War, I have opened up a Discord. I do also stream occasionally on Twitch, and so if you'd like to join the community in these places, I'll leave a link to Discord and Twitch in my video description. It would be great to see you there. As always, special shout out to the YouTube channel members. If you'd like to see the other videos that I have covering the other factions, I'll put a playlist to it on the right of your screen right now on the end card. As always, I appreciate your support, take care, and see you next time.